Good morning, everyone. Welcome into Mornings with Loretta. I'm so excited about my interview. If only you could hear what happens before the show, you'd be excited too. Ed Watal is here with us, and he is the founder and principal of Intellibus, an IT strategy consultancy. So everybody's heard the word, the initials, the letters AI. And I think it's one of the fastest growing things on the internet that I've ever seen. So Ed is here to kind of help us with some of those myths and some truths about it, and talk about his company and why he got started and how AI can be used for social good. So welcome, Ed, to Mornings with Loretta.
Oh, thank you, Loretta. Thank you for having me. It's great to be talking to you.
Yes, hopefully we can do this again, because I know I'll have a lot more questions after this. So let's just jump in there. How can AI-driven diagnostics help extend healthcare access to underserved areas lacking special medical services?
So telemedicine has been around for a while. People getting access to healthcare remotely, where the doctor doesn't have to physically be next to the patient. Especially through COVID, we saw a lot of that coming in. Those tools and technologies have advanced significantly to now sort of enable that. Not necessarily about AI, but it's really about providing that access to people. And the difference here today is with tools like ChatGPT and Gen AI tools that have come out, is that you could have an expert doctor technically leveraging. I wouldn't advise anyone to go to GPT and get their medical advice from there today, but you could think of an expert doctor using a technology like that and sort of multiplying themselves, right? So now that same level of expertise is available to hundreds of thousands of millions of people, which otherwise you'd have a bottleneck, because it's bottlenecked by the time of that one doctor, 8 to 24 hours in a day.
Absolutely. And it's so interesting that you said that, because I just did I write a lifestyle column for an online paper that's seen all over the place. And it was talking about smartphones and smartwatches versus in-person visits and having a healthcare provider, and not just using Google for your sole medical resource. So I'm glad you said that, because I don't think we can drive that point home enough. So how do you think the challenges to overcome equitable in the implementation of this?
So help me unpack, when you say equitable, what's your definition of equitable? Because it's all words are made up. So
that's true, and it's contextual. So I mean, to have it available at the same rate of need for somebody else. So some people can understand, let's say on the 8th grade level. Some people can understand on the 3rd grade. Some people have PhDs in IT, and they can understand a whole lot more of what we're talking about when we say in accessing healthcare using AI. So how can we make sure that those people who don't have a lot of exposure in education in that area benefit as well?
I think a lot goes back to first making such technology available at a cost that's affordable. So equity can't come if it's unaffordable. And now today, GPT costs $20 a month. I don't think everybody in the world can afford it at that price. So first, there's a question of affordability. Then there's a question of how easy it is to use. I think the ease of use now with tools like GPT is pretty evident to everyone. It's like a conversation you're having. It's almost like talking to a human. So I think at least that part we've got figured reasonably well. And then the third piece around equity is how real is it? Is it really like talking to a real doctor, or is it really verified or controlled or governed in that sense? Can someone give bad advice, or who would be accountable if someone took bad advice? For example, back in the day, you would get some bad advice from Google. You would have a website. You would go and scream at that person, say, hey, your website had bad information. What would you do in GPT? Is everybody just calling Sam Altman? Who are we calling?
That's a great point, which leads me into my next question. So in what ways can AI-powered virtual assistants and chatbots revolutionize remote healthcare? And that was just a great lead into this question. Who are we really talking to? And do we really trust what they're saying? And if we don't trust it, where do we go to say, hey, we don't trust that. That was wrong?
A colleague of mine, Scott Galloway, which a lot of us might have already heard of at NYU, he in his TED Talk, I think it was a couple of years ago, mentioned as if Google had become God. because it's someone that you go to and you kind of almost trust the answers. So now obviously you're not trusting the answers from Google, you're trusting the answers provided by other humans. Google just happens to be the pipe or the conduit. So but in some sense, if we found the answer in the top few results in Google, we generally expect it to be good. And it's not so much, while some people may believe, oh, we're trusting in Google, the company or the provider, what we're trusting is in our human ability to share this information with each other. Google's just indexing and searching this for you, and then rank it appropriately. Google uses a ranking algorithm which is based on popularity, which is kind of like voting. So if you think about it, what we are trusting in is in our human ability to be ethical about it. When we post information online, when we link information, we're not trying to game the SEO to be at the top. We're actually providing good quality, meaningful information. Now, in the world of AI, that changes a little bit, because today, at least, with the current AI that's available, and who's to say in a couple of months you may have a new AI which is very highly referenceable. There's no referenceability. You don't actually know the underlying source. Often people won't even disclose what data was used to train the AI. So in such a world, it becomes quite challenging to determine should you even trust that information, let alone the fact that we know that AI hallucinates. It doesn't give you always a perfect answer.
Wow. See, I'm telling you, I'm just fascinated by this whole process that we're actually having this kind of conversation. I don't know if you know anything about the Jetsons, but this cartoon that was so far-fetched out in the future, doing stuff that we're now doing, like they had microwaves before we ever had one in our homes. So I want to kind of dial back to your company, Intellibus. Tell me about your software company and what need were you fulfilling or hoping to fulfill with that?
So we say that you have to find a problem or a need that you're really trying to solve, and the problem or the need that we really solve is called multiplicity. It's less of a need. The need is really to eliminate multiplicity, but the problem is multiplicity. And if we were to think about what is multiplicity, it's when you have too many of the same thing. If you buy, 2 eggs, you're probably going to eat them both, if you're hungry. But if you buy 200 eggs, you got a multiplicity problem. Now, what does that have to do with the software world? That's kind of the world we live in. We have 200 eggs when it comes to data. We have 200 eggs when it comes to software. And so we have so much multiplicity. We have so many social media accounts. So that's really the enemy we fight. We try to consolidate, and we do this for large enterprises. We try to help enterprises rationalize.
Okay, so because we have all this access and we're talking about healthcare and it's those privacy laws that protect us, right? So what strategies do you recommend for healthcare providers to integrate AI technologies responsibly and secure into their systems to extend healthcare access while safeguarding the patient's privacy and data security?
So there's already fairly stringent, regulation and rules around how healthcare data should be managed. Things like HIPAA have been around for a while. So I don't think that's going away anytime soon. So organizations which are dealing with healthcare have to still follow the rules of the road when it comes to dealing with healthcare data, the electronic health record, medical record. However, therein comes the challenge, because if you have to really ask AI to take all this data and correlate it and give you something meaningful out of it, you'll have to see how to do that with the current regulatory framework. Now, obviously, there are ways around it: anonymizing the data, masking the data, creating proxies for algorithms and models and data itself. So all that is being tried. So I think over time we will see a lot of advancement in that space.
Okay, so what about, does it relate to, or is there some kind of way that drug discovery and development, which are so complex to me, it's amazing that my brain is even asking this question. So how can AI streamline these processes to accelerate the delivery of those new treatments? Is it that far that they can help in discovery when it comes to new drugs and access to those new drugs?
I think AI is definitely, AI has always been used in some shape or form in drug discovery for the last several decades now. Right from trying to find ways to find out what our DNA looks like, mapping the genome, to taking that step further in terms of figuring out how specific molecules should be synthesized, as well as how these specific molecules work with specific binding sites within the body when they're trying to cure a patient. And making it very, very specific and hyper personalized has kind of been where most of the effort has gone in, because while you can discover a molecule or a drug, every individual's body is slightly different. Every individual's reaction to that is slightly different. That's why we see all the disclaimers whenever an advertisement comes out on television about a specific drug. So it's really about that hyper-personalization, that next wave that we're going to see with that possibility being created with the new AI that we're seeing out there.
Okay, I told you I would have more questions when I got started, because your answers just lead to other questions. And I know we only had 10 minutes and we surpassed that by a few seconds. So I just want to say thank you so much, Ed. And hopefully you'll come back, because like I said, I have so many questions. I'm truly fascinated. And the fact that you said AI has been around way longer than we as a consumer even knew about it. So it's not like it's new and that people hadn't ironed out all the bugs and did a lot of fixes prior to it becoming a consumer-based product for us. So thank you for all that you're doing. And I know you'll continue to do even more and blow our minds and keep us safe online and make sure we have access and it's equitable for all users. Any closing remarks you want to add?
No, I think
find you.
I think it's very timely we're having this conversation, because one of the things we're doing is talking more and more about digital governance. And as much as AI is important and we need to accelerate it, so we can, to your point, find solutions to our problems faster, no matter what the field is, medicine or whatever other field we think of, agriculture, better food and faster, higher quality food for all. So it has a lot of promise, but at the same time, if done irresponsibly, it has significant negative consequences. And we've seen several pieces of litigation happening all around the world. And as far as people's likeness being copied, deep fakes, the flip side of it, people now using AI to generate tons of social media content, which is kind of pointless, because I already couldn't consume all of that anyway. Now you've given me more. So there's the flip side to it. So I think the sooner we can bring in world digital governance or digital governance globally, at an international level, which is I think really an ideal next step. And so people who are interested, I would definitely encourage them to go to places like wdg.org and sign up and participate in such efforts.
Thank you, because I have to use that new word you taught me today, multiplicities, flexities. We do have way too much, and I'm with you. We already can't consume all the content, and now we have all this help that makes it faster and a lot of the times better and more efficient. But we still only have 24 hours, and we have to work and earn a living. So, Ed, thank you so much. I really have enjoyed this conversation.
Well, thank you, Loretta. Thank you for having me.
All right, so Ed has to go, everybody. You'll see him back on Mornings with Loretta, I can assure you. So let me tell you, Ed is the founder and principal of Intellibus, and Inc. 5000 top 100 software firm based in Virginia. He regularly serves as a board advisor to the world's largest financial institutions. C-level executives rely on him for IT strategy and architecture due to his business acumen and deep IT knowledge, which we just experienced. One of Ed's key projects includes Big Parser, an ethical AI platform, and an AI data commons for the world. He has also built and sold several tech and AI startups. I'm telling you, he's super amazing in the IT field. And the fact that I could keep up with a conversation with him, I'm going to pat myself on the back for that one. So thank you so much for watching this segment of Mornings with Loretta. We'll be back in just a few moments. Everybody, don't go anywhere. Bye-bye.